Hey guys, so 9.5, this is where things start to get pretty difficult. We're going to start factoring what are called trinomials. Okay, it's called a trinomial because it's got three terms here, right? We see the three terms. So it's always going to look like this: x squared plus or minus some constant times x plus or minus some constant c. All right, so the way we're going to factor these is what you basically need to do is you got to find two numbers that multiply to equal c, all right, the one that's by itself, and they add up to equal b. Okay, so this is like unfoiling is kind of a way to put it. Okay, now this definition right here explains exactly mathematically what's going to happen. Okay, so you're going to break this down. You're going to have a trinomial. You're going to break it down to an x plus p times x plus q, right? Where p and q multiply to equal c, and p and q add together to equal b. Right? I know that looks really, really complicated, but I think it's a little bit easier if you just start working out some of the problems. So let's start factoring these. Okay, so remember what we're looking for is we're looking for two numbers that multiply to 2 and add to 3. Well, you should be able to only think of two possible numbers that multiply to positive 2, either -1 times -2 or +1 times +2. Okay, so we know we're going to use that. Now, which of those two add to positive 3? It's +1, +2. So when we factor this, it's going to be equal to x plus 2 times x plus 1. Okay, so like I said, this is like unfoiling. Okay, and you can check your work right by foiling this back out, recognizing that x times x is x squared. Okay, so this, I'm going to show you my checked out worked. Okay, so we've got x times x is x squared. X times 1 is 1x. 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, so when I combine these like terms, x and 2x, we're going to get x squared plus 3x plus 2, which is what we have right there. All right, so we're really breaking this down and making it a little more simpler. Okay, so x squared plus 8x plus 12. Start thinking about what numbers multiply to 12. You might think of 12 and 1. You might think of 4 and 3, 6 and 2. Well, which of those two adds up to 8? You should think of 6 and 2. So this is going to break down to x plus 6 times x plus 2. Okay, so we look at these two numbers. We recognize that 6 times 2 is 12, and 6 plus 2 is 8, so we're good. That's the correct answer. Now, number 3 here, we're going to start making it a little more complicated by adding negatives in here. So we got n squared plus, should be 5n plus 6. Okay, so we need two numbers that multiply to positive 6 but add to negative 5. Okay, so we know we're going to have an n and an n. So we want to fill in this with two numbers that add to negative 5 but multiply to positive 6. Well, the only negative numbers that multiply to a positive means they have to both be negative, right? Because a negative times a negative is a positive, but a positive times a negative is a negative. Okay, so we need two numbers that multiply to 6. We can think of 6 and 1 or 2 and 3. Well, 2 and 3 are going to work well for us because -2 times -3 is positive 6, so that's good. But -2 minus 3, or -2 plus -3, is going to be -5. So that's how you're going to get that one to work. Okay. Now you might guess the wrong things. You might have guessed, 6 and 1 here, but then all you got to do is check it, see if it works. All right. You would get -7 here, and you'd see that it wouldn't work. Then you just try again. So number 4. Okay, taking another step towards more complicated. Okay, now we have to multiply to a negative number. All right, so we're using y and y. Okay, so we're multiplying to a negative number, so that means we need one positive and one negative, because if you have two positives or two negatives, it's going to multiply to be a positive number. Okay, so start thinking about what numbers multiply to 10. You should be thinking 10 and 1 or 5 and 2. Okay, well, we want them to add to positive 3, and we know that plus 5 minus 2 adds to -3, or positive 3, sorry. So double check our answer. We got plus 5 times -2 is -10. That's good. And plus 5 minus 2 is positive 3. So we're good. And the last one we'll do here is m squared minus m minus 20. So we know we need an m and an m. All right, we need two numbers that multiply to -20. So that means that we need a positive and a negative. Okay, so one of these is plus, one is minus, because you see that we need a negative number here. All right, and they need to add to negative 1. So that means the bigger number has to be with a negative. Well, think about things that multiply to 20. We think of 20 and 1, 10 and 2, 5 and 4. Okay, well 5 and 4 are 1 apart, so if I put the minus 5 here and the plus 4 here, let's double check and see if we got the right answer. Plus 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. That's good. And plus 4 minus 5 is negative 1. So we got both. Let's do a couple equations.